as well. So for the Pesach schedule, as I wrote in the WhatsApp group, I'm not sure if all of you are in the WhatsApp group. In case you're not, and for anyone who is otherwise recorded, watching or recording, my schedule is very tight right now with work, and of course, on top of work, just balancing homeworks and all the other things that need to be done here at home. Baruch Hashem, it's a good thing, but very, very time consuming. So it would be particularly difficult for me to prepare for double blot, and I know that it's also burdensome for some of you to sit through a double blot, and I respect that entirely. So what we are going to do is learn a blot and a half every available day, and I'll explain what that means in a moment. We'll learn a blot and a half every available day until we even out. Every 2 days is going to be 3 blot, which is it's a good pace. It's a lot, no doubt, it's a lot, but it's better than doing double blot, which I find to be personally overwhelming for time preparation. And I've heard from many of you, from a number of you, in regards to the feedback of sitting through such a shiur. I feel bad that you have to sit through them in the first place, so they're long. So I hope a blot and a half will work out, and then that basically means that the schedule in general will be as follows: that every day that has a night to it that isn't Yontif, so every day except for basically Erev Shabbos and Erev Yontif, we will be learning at 9 o'clock, with the exception of Motzei Shabbos and Motzei Yontif, which will be at 9:30. And every one of those nights, starting with tomorrow already, blot and a half every night this week until Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and then we'll pick up Motzei Yontif again at 9:30 with a blot and a half, and every available day until we even out our schedule, till we match up with the Daf Yomi schedule after Pesach, we will be doing a blot and a half. So Sunday, Monday, Tuesday will be 9 o'clock, and then obviously Wednesday night is going to be Pesach already. So then next Motzei Shabbos, a week from today, another blot and a half, and so forth and so on. Some people are already texting feedback on that. About doing 9:30 during the week. Let's go Democratic. 9:30 isn't a big difference for me. You can just text me in WhatsApp if you don't mind, just because I don't want to kind of bomb this group here. But yeah. So to your question, Jeff, about when will we catch up? I'm not totally sure, but I'm not. I honestly don't know that it makes much of a difference, because I don't think I can hack doing 2 blot multiple times throughout the week. It's just it takes a good hour and a half for each blot to make sure that I really have a good understanding, and my schedule is not allowing for even 1 blot right now, frankly. So just burning the candle at both ends. So I think that's going to be our game plan. I would like to get started tonight, so we're going to do that. Baruch Hashem. So we're going to start now on the bottom of Daf Kaf Ches Amud Aleph. We're going to be learning Kaf Ches Amud Beis, at the end of Kaf Ches Amud Aleph, Kaf Ches Amud Beis, and all of Kaf Tes, and that will hopefully bring us to the Mishnah at the very bottom of Daf Kaf Tes, 3 lines from the bottom of the page. The last time we learned, we had a conversation about the Tachash, which was an animal that was available during the times of the Mishkan that Moshe built, of course with Betzalel, and the Tachash was an animal that had a lot of skin. And it seems to be from the Gemara that it was a very unique animal. We'll learn more about that today. And that was really part of a larger shaila about whether or not it was possible that there were animals that had the animals of an animal that was tameh, whether or not their ore was used in the Beis Hamikdash, whether or not their skin was used as an option. And that was connected to the initial issue of our Mishnah from a couple of days ago on the bottom of Kav Zayin Amud Beis about whether or not an or behema tmeya was subject to tumas ohel. So let's say, for example, that this is my or behema tmeya, and the or behema tmeya is this, and there's a mace right here, and under that is an item, a kli. So yes, the tuma will transfer to this kli no matter what if the mace and this kli are underneath the ohel. The shaila we were dealing with is whether or not the ohel itself would become tameh. So that was a discussion. If you look just very quickly on the bottom of Kav Zayin Amud Beis, it may refresh your memory about whether or not there is a status of Isser in regards to this. So let's just add one more piece. On top of that, there was a machlokas if it was true by or behema tmeya or not. Our initial shita that we learned the last time we learned on Thursday night would say, no, everything that was from Meleches HaKodesh was tahor. We'll see now that that was not the shita of Rabbi. Last of the thin lines on Daf Kav Ches Amud Aleph, and let us plow through. Rava Amar, Rava says, or behema tmeya demitame be'oel hameis mehacha. He says, I disagree. He said that it is possible for the skin of a behema tmeya, let's say a camel, for example, that it is susceptible to tuma of tumas ohel. Titania, where do we know this from? Or O or riva. The word or by itself teaches regular skin. What does O or teach me? That teaches me that it even includes things that are tame. Now, this particular pasuk itself was speaking. I'll just read the whole pasuk. It will be relevant shortly. And the pasuk says as follows. The pasuk says, "Ovish si ove erev la pishtim v'la tzemer ove or b'chol maleches or." This is a pasuk in regards to negaim, and by tumas negaim, that's where we learn this din from, that the or of a behemoth tmeya is susceptible to tumas ohel. Continues the Gemara. What is concluded in the or, in the O or riva? What's included? Two things. Or behemoth tmeya. This was our particular marimakum that we needed. The or behemoth tmeya means that an animal that is otherwise tameh, its skin is susceptible to tumas ohel, and as well it implies from here that can be used in the mikdash. Ve'shalaka biad kohen, also a garment that a kohen had determined was tameh betumas negoim, that too would be subject to the same tuma. Continues this brisa, though this piece is not really relevant for our needs today. Our needs was only this first part of the brisa, which indicated to us that we have a marimakom, that or behemoth tmeya is subject to tumas ohel, but continues the brisa no less. Katzatz mikulan. If you look back in the pasuk at all of the other types of things, we have shesi and erev and pishtim and semer and or, chol maleches or. So the Gemara says if you make a garment out of pieces of all of those different things, katzatz mikul v'asa achas men minayin, how do we know that that garment that's made out of patches, that it would also be subject to tumas negoim and therefore also be eligible and susceptible to tumas ohel? Says the Gemara, Talmud Lomar o v'chol maleches re'egu. So says the Gemara, you're trying to learn from the world of Negaim to teach us that the or of a behemoth tmeya is susceptible to tumas ohel. Asks the Gemara, I don't think you can do that, because we have something unique, as we saw in the last time we learned on Thursday night. We have something unique in regards to Negaim. That was the pasuk we just saw. The pasuk says, "Over shesi over erev." We know that it's going to be tamei already. So by the Negaim, we see that its level of tuma is at a very early phase, only by shesi and erev. And what do we know by tumas mace? That it's only tamei, but tumas mace bekizai. It's only when there's a certain amount of mace. So the shear by Negaim is more chamor. Maybe we shouldn't be able to learn anything about tumas mace from Negaim. Answers the Gemara, Ella. Therefore, you're right. We should not learn from Negaim. We should therefore learn from somewhere else. Ella gomer mishratzim. Instead of learning it from Negaim, we should learn it from shratzim. What does the pasuk say by shratzim? It looks the same, but it's a different pasuk. The Tanya, or I'll read the full pasuk here. V'chol asher yipol alav mehem b'mosam yitzmami kol kli eitz o veged o or. That's our words. O sak kol kli asher yasem malacha b'hem b'mayim yuva b'tamei ad ha'ar b'tar. Different pasuk, but the word looks the same in the brisa. But it's important to see the marimakum. The Tanya, the brisa here says by shratzim or emiela or behema tahora or behema tameya minayin. How do we know that either a behema tahora or a behema tameya would be subject to the tuma of ohel? We learn that from shratzim. Talmud lomar o or. Says the Gemara, wait a minute. You can't even learn tumas maize about tumas ohel from a sheretz either, because there's a chumrah by tumas sheretz. What's a chumrah by tumas sheretz? Because nefrach mal shratzim shechein metamen becha adasha. We know that by shratzim that their tumah is becha adasha, so different shiurim of what causes tumas maize. So now the Gemara is bothered on two fronts. It's bothered, number one, that you tried from the Negaim and it didn't work. Now you're asking me if we can learn from shratzim. It doesn't work from there either, because there's a chiddush in both of those cases that doesn't apply to the world of Tuma. So it says the Gemara, maybe what we can do is partner these two areas of halacha, shratzim and negaim, and use the two of them to be the marimakom to support our marimakom that or a behema tameya is going to be susceptible to tumas ohel. Now we're going to see a line that we see regularly in these types of machlokos. I'm just going to give a framing for what we're about to see, and that is whenever the Gemara is going to use two different sources to teach me one halacha, what it does is it highlights that each of them are different, and then it finds a common denominator between them, and that common denominator serves as the base for the marimakom. Here's the language of the Gemara. V'chazar hadin. It's cyclical. Lo re'izeh ki re'izeh. This is not like that. Namely, Negaim is not like shratzim. Lo re'izeh ki re'izeh. And shratzim is not like Negaim. So then how do we learn from both of them? By the common denominator. Hatzara shava shabahen she'or tamei bahen. V'asa or behema tameya ki or behema tahora. Afani avi ohel ames she'or tamei bo. V'nasebo or tamei or behema tameya ki or behema tahora. So because by both of them we have a common denominator, that they include or behema tmeya, the tumas shratzim and the tumas negoim, we can extend to another area of halacha where that applies to, which is tumas ohel. And this is the language that, again, that you'll see b'chazar hadin lower izeh izeh. You will see this throughout Shas, I presume, 100 plus times. It's a fairly common phrase, a common refrain in regards to having two marim makomos for one area of halacha. But again, it's not isolating any one fact from both. It's looking at the common denominators from both. So that's the construct that we're looking at now to answer this question. Omar le Rava mi barnish le Rav Ashi. Hold on one second. You can't even say that. You cannot use the common denominator of the tzara shavashem. You cannot use the common denominator of negoim and shratzim to learn to OL Ames. Why not? Because 2 lines from the bottom on Kav Ches Mid Aleph, Ika lemifrach, I could have asked, that which you said was the common denominator, and that which was therefore the source to allow me to learn out that or tame is susceptible to tumas ohel. No, there's a chumrah there. Shekain tamein bepachos mikazayis. Both of them, we learned this already. The Gemara is just organizing it in a good way. What is the problem with the tzara shava shebehen argument? To look at that which is common between shratzim and negoim and to apply it to tumas ohel. The problem is that the shear for tumas meis is less than a kazayis. However, tomar b'meis she'enu matame el b'kazayis. But when you have the tumas ohel, my ohel is here and my kli is here. So the mace that's on this side has to have at least have a kazayis of mace. Otherwise, the tuma doesn't transfer at all. So how can you learn from the common denominator of shratzim and negoim when their shear is even less than a kazayis? You can't extrapolate from there to the world of tumas ohel. They're not on a level playing field. Their shiurim of tuma is different. So this is not Rava, the regular Rava. This is Rava mi barnish. He therefore rejects this outright and he gives his own suggestion. Hello, Amar Rava mi barnish. Asya, turning to the top of Kav Ches Mid Beis. Asya b'kal v'chomer minotza shel izim. Here we're going to learn out from a kal v'chomer from the world of notza shel izim, the pluckings of an aiz, the plucking of an animal. And what do we find there? We find there a much lower share of tumas meis. There we see mitame ben negoim. Excuse me, let me asim bikal v'chomer minotza shel izim she'ein metame ben negoim metame be'ohel meis. It doesn't even become tame from tumas negoim, but it does become tame with an ohel meis. And concludes the Gemara in regards to this sheet of Rava mi barnish or behema tmea shemetame ben negoim. If the behema of tame behema, if its or would become tame ben negoim, eino din shemetame be'ohel meis. And because of that, he can then extrapolate what our Mare Makom is to teach us that Or Behema Tmeya is considered to be subject to the rules of Tumas Ohel, and therefore it may well have been used in the Beis HaMikdash because they're learned from the same sugya and halacha. Now the Gemara is going to ask a question, something that we learned about yesterday, and from here we're going to jump into a variation on this sugya, a little subcategory, which is as follows. Asks the Gemara 4 lines down, Kav Ches Mid Beis. Ve'lahadatani Rav Yosef lo hochshiru b'maleches shamayim ela or behema Torah bilvad. We learned on Thursday night that we have a principle that whenever it comes to Maseches Shamayim, that which is the worship, the work of Shamayim, the only thing you can rely upon is or behema Torah bilvad. So if it's true that Rava mi barnish, and really Rava as well, who agrees with this principle, that the or behema Tmei was able to be used in the Mikdash, in the Mishkan, so then what is this Mari Makom doing? This Mari Makom indicates that by Maseches Shamayim, you can only use Or Behema Tahora. But Rava and Rava mi barnish both hold that Or Behema Tmeya can be used in the Mishkan. So then, if they hold that the Or Behema Tmeya can be used in the Mishkan, what is this Mari Makom doing for me? Where is the application that Maseches Shamayim can only be Or Behema Tahora? Answers the Gemara, Lamai Hilchasa, Litzfil, and is talking about the parchment, is talking about the actual parchments that are inside the tefillin. Says the Gemara, that cannot be it. Tefillin behed yoksiv behu. That's mefurish psukim in the Torah. Lematiyeh Torah Hashem beficha, min hamutar beficha. We have a drasha in the Gemara elsewhere in Shas. Where is this drasha? It's in this Masechta and Daf Kufches, another 90 blot or so. The drasha is, what type of parchment are we allowed to put in our tefillin? Only that which is mutter to put in your mouth. You cannot eat camel flesh, you cannot eat camel skin, so therefore you cannot use it as parchment. So therefore, it can't be that the brisa which says that Maseches Shamayim can only be behema tahora, that is talking about the parchment, because the parchment we have a pasuk, mina mutter beficha. So what must it be? Ela le'oran. It must be talking about the leathers that are used for the batim. Of course, as we all know, our batim, which seem like very hard, have an appearance of wood to them. They're actually made out of hardened leather. Those must be made out, according to this answer, they must be made out of or based on the brisa of that Meleches HaKodesh can only be or HaKodesh, or Hatame, or HaTahora, excuse me. It says the Gemara, no, that doesn't work either. Amar Abaye, absolutely not. I have a Mari Makom for that. Shin shel tefillin halacha l'Moshe Sinai. As we know, on one side of our tefillin, we have a shin with 3 arms, regular. On the other side, we have a shin with 4 arms. That is a halacha l'Moshe Sinai. Don't bother finding a svara for it. HaKadosh Baruch Hu told Moshe, that's why we have it on our tefillin. But if that's the case, then we know from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, because he told Moshe that those shins have to be made out of leather. So it can't be the brisa that says Meleches Shamayim is only for more behema tahora. It has to be that we learned that from halacha l'Moshe Sinai. So if that's the case, again, back to our question, Hadra Kushya L'Duchta, what is the brisa of Meleches Shamayim? It's only by or behema tahora. What is that used for? Answers the Gemara, Ela l'korchan b'sayron u'letofran begidin. Before my boy's bar mitzvah, I called B'tzalel Shor. I said, please make my boys tefillin. He said, great, we're going to do a whole thing. I sat down in his basement with my boys, and he took the parshios, he folded them up, and he wrapped them in a string that was actually made out of animal parts, and it had to be from a behema tahora. So that's what the Gemara says. It's lekorchan b'sayron, and as well uletofran begidin. When they stitch through the top of the bias and the bottom to seal it up once the parchments are in, that thread is also, it's made out of sinew, it's made out of body parts. So here the assumption of the Gemara is that those materials are only required to be from a behema Torah based on the brisa that Meleches Shamayim has to be for behema Torah. Here too the Gemara pushes back and says that's not true, because the Tanya Hanami halach l'Moshe Sinai. That's also halach l'Moshe Sinai. The Tanya, the brisa teaches us tefillin merubos halach l'Moshe Sinai. The fact that tefillin have to be square, really almost cubical. The fact that they have to be square is halach l'Moshe Sinai. And in the same brisa, what does it say? Also, nichrachos b'sayron v'nisparos begidin. That they also have, the parshios have to be wrapped, and the stitching has to be done begidin. So there it seems from that brisa, not directly stated, but implied that because it's in the same brisa as a din that's halacha l'Moshe Sinai in regards to the square state of the tefillin, it seemingly implies that the threads also have to be made of a similar type of material, which is behema tahora. If that's true that it's halacha l'Moshe Sinai, then again, we cannot use the brisa of Meleches Shamayim. It has to be more behema Torah. So again, we're back to our question. Answers the Gemara, Elo the Rituos. You're right, it has nothing to do with the bottom. It has to do with the leather straps, the ones that hang from the one that hangs from the one that attaches to our head, and the one that wraps around our arm, but not the bottom itself. Says the Gemara, wait a minute. Rabbi Yitzchak, Rituos Shchoros halacha l'Moshe Sinai. We already learned the din, not us together here, but the din in the Gemara elsewhere, in Menachos, I believe, is that the halacha is that we know that our Rituos have to be black. Shaila is what does it mean to be black? What if it's edging towards brown? How do we define brown? Is all these halachas about people whose tefillin are a little discolored? What about when it starts to crack by the knot, or when it cracks by the hands? Because we're always tucking. These are good shailas to ask. Good shailas to ask. Not for now. But anyways, the Gemara here seems to say that because it seems to be that the Ritzuos are black, maybe that's halacha l'Moshe Sinai too, and therefore the brisa is not a good brisa for us. So answers the Gemara, nope, you're wrong. You're right that the halacha l'Moshe Sinai is that the Ritzuos have to be black. However, Tahoros migmiri. Who said that they have to come from an animal that's tahora? So therefore, the only reason why our Ritzuos are black is because of halacha l'Moshe Sinai. But the only reason that our Ritzuos are tahoros is because of this brisa that we until now didn't have a place for. And now that brisa, that Meleches Shamayim can only done with behemos who are behemos tahoros, that is a din that teaches us that our Ritzuos have to be made from an animal that is tahor and not from an animal that is tameh. Beautiful. Summarize, the sheet of Rabbi holds that we are allowed to use behemos that are tmeos in the Mishkan, and they are metame be'ohel. If that's the case, what do we do with the brisa of Meleches Shamayim is only by or behema Torah bilvad, that teaches us only about our ritzuos, that they have to be made from material of a kosher animal. Now on Thursday, we learned about this animal called the tachash. My children were so excited about this Gemara. I told them a little bit about it because the Karesh family name is found here, and apparently we were unicorns in the past. We will see shortly. Says the Gemara, what was the deal with the tachash in the times of Moshe? Says the Gemara, Amar Rabbi La, Amar Rav Shimon ben Lakish, Omer Haya Reb Meir Tachash Shahei Bimei Moshe Beria Bifnei Atzma Haya. It was its own creature. A beria is a halachic terminology. Here it's being used more homiletically, not in a halachic sense, meaning it was its own creature. But just to give you a brief application, as things we'll learn down the road, is that a bug is considered a beria. So even though a bug, for example, may be batal b'shishim, a tiny little mosquito, maybe batal b'shishim in the cholent. You see one flying to the cholent hole, and it's 1/1000th of the chalent, the halacha is you're not allowed to eat the chalent at all, because that animal, that bug is a beria. It went in as a full animal, and a beria is never batil. So it's important to know what is considered a beria, full bugs, as opposed to bugs that are chopped up. You cannot chop up the bug. I wouldn't eat it either way, but if you could, it may be less halachically problematic. But if something goes into the food as a beria, then there's no bittul. We'll speak about this more another time. But either way, Reb Meir said that the tachash was a beria bifnatz, but it's its own creature. They were unsure whether or not it had the din of a behema or a din of a chaya. Nafkamina is not for now, but there are differences between the two animals. The keren achas haiselo b'mitzcho. It had one horn in the middle of its forehead. Everyone wanted to know where unicorns came from. It is Shabbos Kaf Ches. Moshe was only available for Moshe during that one time. And then Moshe utilized the skins that were available, and then the animal was gone forever, never to be seen again. The fact that it says that there was only one keren, only one horn in the forehead, shmamina tahor, who it seems to be that the animal should be tahor, and maybe the tachash was in fact a tahor animal. Why? Because it says that Adam Arishon was makriv an animal, and it had one horn in its forehead. That's what the pasuk says, that Hashem made it good, mishor par. A shore and a par, those animals are behemoths. The Gemara is going to ask soon, doesn't that imply that this animal is not a chaya, but in fact it's a behemoth? But then says the Gemara that it seems that it's makrin mafris. It has the horn, and it also is mafris. It also has the split hoof. Says the Gemara, wait a minute, makrin, it seems like that's plural, tarte mashma. Who's to say that it had one horn? Maybe it's two. Makrin seems plural. Says the Gemara, Amar of Nachman Bar Yitzchak, mi keren. You're right that it's read makrin, but mi keren seems in the singular. Says the Gemara, but the pasuk says shor and par. Shor and par are behemos; they're not chayos. The liv showed minei demin behemahu. Maybe we should extrapolate from here, from the fact that it says shor and par, that it's not a chaya, but it's a behema. A shor and a par are considered behema. A deer, for example, is a chaya. Answers the Gemara, maybe we cannot learn it from here because kevan the ika keresh, there was an animal referred to as a keresh. The min chayahu, itaka was a chaya. It was not a behema. The lesle elachada keren, and it had one horn in its forehead. Ika lamemar min chayahu, and therefore it's possible to say that just like the keresh was an animal that only had one horn in its forehead, so too maybe the pasuk was just speaking a little loose-tongued, and it didn't mean literally a shor or a behema, just meant an animal in a looser term. And because the keresh was a chaya, then maybe so too the tachash was also a chaya. And the Gemara here stays inconclusive, and we don't exactly know what type of animal it was. And that brings us, Baruch Hashem, to the next Mishnah. This next Mishnah is going to be a little bit about Tumah B'Tara, but don't be alarmed. It is not a difficult Tumah B'Tara Gemara. It is one about when a garment leaves the status of being a garment, which is subject to Tumah, and then exits into a status of not being Makabel Tumah. And that is a simple question which we can ask is as follows. Let's say we take a small piece of garment and we roll it up into a wick. Does that rolling it up into a wick stay a beged? Or does it lose its status of beged instantly? That is a machlokes tanaim here in this Mishnah. Let's get started. Psilas ha-beged shekipla. If you have a wick of a garment that you've rolled up, velo hivhava, and you didn't singe it. This was common practice back in the day. You'd roll up, let's say, a 3x3 etzba garment. You'd roll it up tightly, and you'd singe the top with a lighter so that the top would be all stuck together, and then it would light nicely as a wick later. That's the scenario we were dealing with, except here it says velo hivhava, you didn't singe it. Machlokes tanaim, excuse me. Rabbi Eliezer omer tmei hi bein madlikim ba. He says the garment is still tamei. It's still a garment. It doesn't lose the status of tamei, the status of a garment, because you rolled it up. That's ridiculous. Something has to happen to it first. Sheets of Rabbi Eliezer. As well, he holds that we do not light with it. Rabbi Akiva omer tahorahi umadlikin ba. Rabbi Akiva holds that once you roll it up, it does lose the status of a garment, and as well as a secondary din, we are allowed to light with it. So let's get started with the Gemara, a little bit more than halfway down, starting with the Gemara, Kav Ches Amud Beis. Says the Gemara, I understand in regards to Tumah, this is what they're arguing about. Rabbi Eliezer, Savar Kipul Eino Moel. You folded up the garment, but that doesn't change the status of the fact that it was a beged. 1 minute ago, it was a beged. You rolled it up into the shape of a wick. It's still a beged. It's just rolled up. So Rabbi Eliezer says, you haven't done anything yet. Just like it was before, like originally. You've changed nothing from the original status. It was a 3x3 etzba garment. It's still a 3x3 etzba garment. You just rolled it up. You stuck it into the candle. It's still a garment. And it's still going to be subject to Tumah. Rabbi Akiva Savar Kipul Moelu B'Tulei Batil. He says, no, once you rolled it up, you've given it a new status, a new shape. You could hear the Chakira already. You could hear the Chakira and Lamdus. Rabbi Eliezer is saying it's still the same garment. You haven't done anything to it yet. Remember, below hifa, you haven't singed it yet. And Rabbi Akiva says, but you repurposed it. You've made it into a wick now. Now it's sitting in the little wick holder. You could understand the lumdus on both sides. Okay, fine. Says the Gemara, I understand what's going on. Bishlam, I understand their machlokas in regards to the tumah status, whether or not folding it is not really a nothing as it relates to changing status of the garment versus whether or not is changing it into a new entity. Now it's a wick and not a regular. Okay, we got it. However, ask the Gemara, 2/3 of the way down, what are they arguing about? Who cares if it's a garment that's tahor? Why can't you light with it? What's wrong with lighting it? It says the Gemara as follows. This is a 4-pronged ukimta. There are 4 factors here that the Gemara assumes is going on in our Mishnah. Never to have been assumed unless you are one of the Gdolei Amoraim. What is it that they're arguing about? It says the Gemara as follows. Omar Rabbi Elazar, Omar Rabbi Oshia, B'chein Omar Rabbi Ada Bar Ahava. Please remember the name Rabbi Ada Bar Ahava. We're going to come back to him on the bottom of the Yom. Says the Gemara, Hacha, factor number 1. We're dealing with a garment that's exactly 3 etzbos by 3 etzbos. We'll see soon why that makes a difference. And it is on Yom Tov, that is on Erev Shabbos. Factor number 3. Everyone agrees to the Shita Rabbi Yehuda that you are allowed to light a fire on Yontif with that which is already a kli, but not with something that becomes a shever kli on Shabbos. If something breaks on Shabbos, that's nola. That new piece cannot be used on Yontif. It's shivrei kelim. So let's say you had intended on using a whole kli. It broke on Yontif morning. You cannot use that kli for anything on Shabbos. All the shards are nola. And din number 4, udukule alma islehu deula. Amar ula hamadlik tzarch shialik b'robayotze. That when we light a candle, and by the way, this is a very important din. Please share this with anyone who lights hadlakas neros both by Hanukkah and by hadlakas neros for Shabbos. When a person is lighting Shabbos candles or Hanukkah candles, they must hold the match near the candle until half of the wick is lit. That is what we consider a hadlaka. It's not just that fire transferred. You have to stay there until half of the wick is lit. Sometimes that's not so pashut, especially the dysfunctional candles that have this ridiculously long. Cut it before you start. It's difficult to be yote in that ideal way. It has to be lit that way. Anyways, these are the 4 ukimtas of our case. And now let's see how it plays out. 9 lines from the bottom, 10 lines from the bottom. Rabbi Eliezer, Savar, Kipuleno Moil, folding it doesn't help. And because the garment was exactly 3 by 3, once you light it, the fire minimizes the size of the 3 by 3 and makes it into a shever kli. Good, just like we saw that we hold like Rabbi Yehuda that a shever kli is muksan Shabbos. The chi kamadlik b'shever kli kamadlik, and when you're lighting with a broken kli. That's why Rabbi Eliezer says that you're not allowed to be madlik. Let's look back at our features here. It has to be Erev Shabbos, that's a yontif. It has to be 3 by 3, and you have to hold like Rabbi Yehuda. All four boxes are checked off. Because according to Rabbi Eliezer, if the garment is exactly 3 by 3, you have to light it, and according to Ula, long enough that half of the wick is lit, which means that it's no longer really 3 by 3 anymore. But once it goes below 3 by 3, then it's no longer a full kli, it's a shever kli. And that we hold like Rabbi Yehuda, you cannot use a shever kli, therefore it's nola. Therefore, says Rabbi Eliezer, it's usher to light that candle for Shabbos. It's usher because it's yontif. Had it only been Erev Shabbos, seemingly it would have been mutter. So that's why Aru Kimta here has to be one of Erev Shabbos. The Rabbi Akiva Sabar Kipol Moil, folding it helps. The Ein Torah's Kli Alav. Once you fold it, it's not a beged anymore. And you don't have to worry about anything else. It's its own entity now. It is no longer a kli. It is just a wick. And therefore, once it drops beneath that threshold of exactly 3 by 3, we don't care. It's not a shever kli because it wasn't the kli to start with, because once you folded it, it lost the status of a kli. It was no longer a beged. It was a wick. And therefore, he allows it. It's just a regular wick. That wasn't the garment to start with. And that's how we explain the Tumah V'Tara aspects to start with, the first part of the Gemara. And that's how we explain as well why Rabbi Eliezer says it's a problem to light, because he holds that it's nolad and muksa. And Rabbi Akiva says it is not a problem of nolad and muksa because it wasn't the kli to start with, because once you folded it, it no longer had the din of a beged. Beautiful. 5 lines from the bottom. Omer Rabbi Yosef, this answers a question that apparently everybody had. What was their question? There was a brisa. There was a brisa that said, all it said was, and 3 by 3 exactly. That is the problem. We don't know what it's talking about. So the Gemara here answers that's Shitas Rabbi Eliezer. That's what our Mishnah is talking about. Namely, the opinion of Rabbi Yosef about this brayso, shalosh mitzumtzamos, according to the approach of the Gemara here, according to Rabbi Bar Ava, is exactly what is going on in our Mishnah. Says the Gemara, a question on Rabbi Bar Ava. One of the assumptions of Rabbi Bar Ava was that everyone holds like Rabbi Yehuda, that we are masikin v'kelim, and we are not masikin b'shivra kelim, that we are allowed to light a fire on Shabbos with a kli, that is a full kli, but you're not allowed to use shivra kelim for a kli that broke on Yontif, because that would be considered utilizing nolad on Shabbos. Nolad, just to be clear, nolad is its own Isser Derabanan of Muksa. It's its own world of Muksa, of things that did not exist before Yontif, before Shabbos, and you are now using it on Yontif. Nolad has a lot of examples. The most classical example is a Beitza Shanolda B'Yontif, the whole Masechta that we're going to learn about. If an egg was born on Yontif, yes, it existed inside the chicken, but we didn't know about it. It wasn't there. We didn't know when it was going to come. An apple falls off a tree on Shabbos, it's nolad. You're not allowed to use it. According to some poskim, making ice on Shabbos is nolad. Melting snow on Shabbos, Risuk Shelag, the Gemara on Shabbos, we'll see a little bit later. The Gemara there also has a problem with that. Rashi there calls it molid instead of nolad, which is maybe its own subcategory of nolad. Nevertheless, that's what nolad is and what the whole conversation hovers upon here. So therefore, the Gemara is asking a question on Rabbi Bar Ava as follows, 3 lines from the bottom. It seems from Rabbi Bar Ava's ukimta of our Mishnah that everybody holds like Rabbi Yehuda that it's usher to use nolad on Shabbos, on Yontiv. It seems like Rabbi Bar Ava himself holds that way. What's the problem? Did he really hold that way? Rabbi Bar Ava, turning to the top of Testament Aleph, Rabbi Bar Ava was involved in the following case scenario where he gave psak. What did he say? We saw this Gemara earlier in the Masechta. If there was a non-Jew on Shabbos who carved out a space inside of a log, can you use it on Shabbos? Yisrael Mesika B'Yom, you can burn that kli on Shabbos. Why are you allowed to burn that kli? If you hold like Rabbi Yehuda, it's Shivrei Kalim. It was a full kli before Yontif started. The guy was chakak, he carved it out and made it functional. That's nolad. That's nolad. So how could Rabbi Bar Ava say that our Mishnah has an ukimta to be like Rabbi Yehuda, that to use Shivrei Kalim is nolad, and then mamish the exact same case Rabbi Bar Ava himself says is mutter, masikin b'yom tov, this log, totally unacceptable. How could that be the case? Answers the Gemara. Nolad, why would we be allowed? It's nolad. Answers the Gemara. L'divrayim der Belazar der Akiva kamarli. No. Rabbi Bar Ava was just trying to give pshat in our Mishnah. He wasn't saying his own opinion. He was just saying, I'll read it again. L'divrayim der Belazar der Akiva kamarli. He was only trying to give pshat in the machlokas in Rabbi Belazar and Rabbi Akiva. And the only way that Mishnah works is if you say pshat like it's like Rabbi Yehuda. But he doesn't hold that way himself. The lei lo sfira lei. Very good. Rabbi Bar Ava gave answer number 1 to the machlokes in our Mishnah as to why it is that we are not allowed to light. Answer number 2 says Rava, very simply, Rava Amar, 3 lines from the top, Hainu time of the Rabbi Eliezer, Lefi she'ein madlikin b'psila, she'ein mechurachas, the lo bismartutin she'einan mechurachen. Because, says Rabbi Eliezer, you're not allowed to light a wick that is not singed because they don't light well. And when a wick doesn't light well, we're afraid that you could violate the Isser of Kibui and that you will not violate and you will not fulfill the mitzvah of hadlakas neiros. So according to Rabbi Eliezer, if you look back in the Mishnah, it's a little bit meduyak. Psila sabeket shekipla velo hivhava. Specifically there where it's unsinged, Rabbi Eliezer says, according to Rabbi, that that's why he's not allowing you to light. Mashenki, Rabbi Akiva holds that it's mutter. Answer number 2, very simple. So it says the Gemara, wait a minute. But you said earlier that this brayso of Rav Yosef, that the brayso that said shalosh al shalosh mitzumtzamos, that it was talking about our Mishnah. But that doesn't work according to Rabba's answer. It only works according to Rabbi Bar Ava's answer. Says the Gemara, Ela the Tani Rav Yosef Gimel al Gimel mitzumtzamos lamai hilchasa. What was it then talking about? It wasn't talking about our Mishnah. And the Gemara says, you're right. It was not talking about our Mishnah. Rather, what was it talking about? The Inyan Tuma. It was talking about a different sugya entirely, like the sheet of the Chachamim. Here's the first opinion. It's not Shalosh al Shalosh Amru Chutz Min Amelel. Sheet number 1, the Chachamim hold that when we measure 3 by 3, that is not including the hem. So let's say, for example, you had a 3 by 3 garment. Shlosh al Shlosh in this case is Shalosh. So it's 3 by 3 etzbaos. But at the end, it folds over a little bit and is stitched down. So we don't include the melel according to the Chachamim. So it's not exactly 3 by 3. We don't include the melel. So let's say it's 3 by 3 plus a couple of millimeters of extra fabric. That's the sheet of the Tanakama. What is this sheet of Rav Yosef? Same as the Chachamim. The Chachamim omrim shalosh al shalosh mechuvanos. We're only talking about 3 by 3 exactly, and this is where Rav Yosef said It's talking exactly about 3 by 3. Brings us to the 2 dots, about 10 lines down on the top of Chav Testament Aleph. Let's continue. Already late, a little after 10. I want to make sure you guys get to sleep at some point. Amar Rabbi Yehuda, Amar Rav, we're going to see a number of machlokos right now about nolad, about the halach of nolad. This one will sound familiar. Masikin bekelim ben masikin b'shivrei kelim divrei Rabbi Yehuda. Rav quotes a bunch of machlokos. He quotes the shita like we saw. The Rabbi Yehuda holds that you are allowed to use a kli for burning as long as it was made before Shabbos. But if it's a shever kli, if it broke on Shabbos, you cannot use the shivrei kelim, says Rabbi Yehuda, because it's nolad. It's a new object that didn't exist in the world before Yantif. Reb Shimon Matir, Reb Shimon holds that shivrei kelim are permissible on Shabbos. Next machlokas that Rav quotes. Masikin b'tmarim, you're allowed to burn tmarim for the oil that's in them. However, achlan, if you ate them, ein masikin v'gar'inehem divrei Rabbi Yehuda. However, the gar'inim, the seed that is within them, inside the tamar, inside the date, that divrei Rabbi Yehuda, you're not allowed to use that. That's going to be nolad. Reb Shimon Matir, he says, what are you talking about? The seed's totally eligible. You can totally use it for lighting, no problem. Third case, masikin be'egozim, achlan ein masikin be'kliposein divrei Rabbi Yehuda, Reb Shimon Matir. Third case, all a similar lineup, and the Gemara is bothered by the fact that we need all 3 cases, as we'll learn shortly. And the Gemara says, wait a minute, by egozim, by nuts, what's the din? You're allowed to burn them. However, if you ate the nut from the inside, you ate the nut, you cracked it open, ate the nut, ein masikin be'kliposein, you cannot use the shells for lighting. That he holds is going to be nolad. Divrei Rabbi Yehuda, Reb Shimon Matir. Okay, so 3 cases. We have shivrei kelim, we have the case of the tmarim, and we have the case of the shells. Says the Gemara, why do we need all 3? Vitzricha. I'm sure you're all familiar. Just to be extremely clear, a tzricha is a construct that you will find throughout Gemara. Whenever you see the word vitzricha, you can approximate what the next 10 lines are going to look like. Vitzricha. If we didn't have X, we wouldn't have known Y, therefore we have Y. If we didn't have Y, we wouldn't have known X, therefore we have X. That's approximately the formula mathematically that it looks like. And we will see this here exactly, and it's almost always the case. Vitzricha. We needed all the cases. Diashmin and Kamaisa. Excuse me. If I would have only had the first case about the shivrei kelim, I might have thought that over there, the case of nolad is unique. It used to be a utensil. Now it's broken into pieces. That's not like the other cases. Nothing broke in the other cases. I ate a date and it revealed the seed, or I ate the nut and it kept the shell over. So I would have thought only there that was the case. I might have only thought that in that case there would have been an Isra of Nola, but maybe by Rabbi Yehuda would have agreed with Rav Shimon where the date already existed or where the shell already existed. Maybe he would have agreed that it's Takamutter and there's no Isra Nola. Therefore, Rabbi Yehuda needed to have more than one case. And if we would have only spoken about the case of the dates where there was a seed on the inside, I would have said, okay, well, by the date, so maybe it was uncovered afterwards. So before it was covered, now that it's uncovered, it's nolad. But it goes in, but by the nuts, the shell was always on the outside. That was megalion the whole time. They were always revealed. They're still revealed. They were shaper dummy, therefore it's richa. And the Gemara therefore packages a very simple argument as to why we need all 3 cases, because otherwise we could have easily misinterpreted what nolad would have meant according to Rabbi Yehuda, and therefore Rav brought all 3 cases, and Rabbi Yehuda wrote all 3 cases. Says the Gemara, middle of the page, the case of Rav itself, Rav did not organize it the way that we just read it. We just know Rav's shita. How was, in fact, this taught by Rav? It wasn't taught by any other way than the story itself. It's a Maisa Rav. How did Rav behave? The Rav ochal tamre v'shada kashyasa lebuchya. This was during the week. During the week, Rav ate a date and he took the seed kashyasa. He took the seed and shada kashyasa lebuchya. He took the seed and he tossed it into an oven to toast. Dried seeds. Sometimes those are tasty. Pumpkin seeds are very good dried out. Amarle Rav Chia Rav Chia, who was kind of a Talmud of Rav, he said to him, Bar Pachti, you are the bright one. Kenegdo b'yom tov aser. To do what you just did on Yontif is aser. Now, what does that imply? That the seed is nolad. Okay, let's see what the Gemara says. Kibla meinei or lo kibla meinei? Did Rav accept that answer or not? We don't know. Tashma, let's see. Did Rav accept the response, the retort of Rav Chia, that maybe that is actually taka mukta, like we saw in the sheet of Rabbi Yehuda just a few lines ago, in the second case of the machlokos, Tashma, the chiyasa Rav lebavel achatamre v'shada kashyasa v'chivsa. What did we see? Rav, when he was in Bavel, when Rav went to Bavel, he ate a date and he threw the seed to the animals. Says the Gemara, my lab farsiyasa velo kibla. Doesn't it mean that there was no flesh of the fruit left on the seed? Meaning that that seed is completely useless and nolad, yet he still picked it up and threw it to the animals, which is violation of nolad, which means he must obviously hold that there's no nolad here. Says the Gemara, not a raya. Lo, we don't know what the seed looked like. Nobody analyzed the leftovers of Rav's food. Maybe there was still a little bit of flesh left over on the seed. When you eat a peach, if the peach is very ripe, all the fruit comes off. If the peach is not very ripe, there's always a little bit of fruit left over. So if there's no fruit left over, maybe Rav agrees that it's takamuksa. But in this case, lo, be'ar miyasa, we're talking about a case of a pit where he left over a little bit of the flesh on the seed, and therefore it was not nolad, and you cannot learn anything from the story. Because it's still fit because of its mother. This is a metaphor, of course, meaning that the fruit itself is still attached, and therefore the seed is not considered muksa if there's still some fruit left. This leads to a shaila, of course, that comes up every Shabbos. Today, every Shabbos, every Yontiv, there's a bunch of garbage that's on the table. Why are we allowed to clean up all the extra food? The chicken bones have been sucked dry. There's nothing left at all. It's totally dry bone, nothing. Halacha is because it has a din of graf shel rei. It's disgusting. It's gross to us. We should clean up. Okay, the only limitation to that is after Shalosh Shudas. A person's not supposed to clean up after Shalosh Shudas unless the food is perishables, because then it's hachana for after Shabbos. There, the poskim discuss, what if your mindset is, I just want to clean up because I want the house clean? That may well be mutter. But if a person is just cleaning up so that it's easier for them to clean up for after Shabbos, there a person should not clean up after Shalosh Shudas unless the food that you're putting away is perishable. Amar le Rav Shmuel bar Chana le Rav Yosef. Here is a question that was asked. The Rav Yehuda, according to the sheet of Rav Yehuda, we've been focusing on the last 20 lines. The Amar Masikin v'Kelim ben Masik Meshivrei Kelim. He says, Rav Yehuda, as we know, says that you're allowed to light with a full kli, but you're not allowed to light with a shever kli. So another Gemara asks the following question: Kevan de adlik b'hu porta havale shivrei kelim. According to Rav Yehuda, once you light something, it automatically becomes shivrei kelim. Once something catches on fire, it is now a reduced form of its initial form. Why isn't that considered to be shivrei kelim? Not only that, and on Yontif, when you're making the fire grow, it's shivrei kelim, and it should be muksa because of nolad. So let's say either you're lighting the wick, the second you light it, it becomes shivrei kelim, or if you light, you have a bonfire, you have 5 pieces of wood that were lit. Every time you move them around, they should be muksa, because once the fire consumes even a small amount of the wood in the fire pit, so then that should be considered to be the problem of nolad. Says the Gemara, why is this not a problem for Rav Yehuda? The Avad Kidder Rav Masne. Amar Rav Masne, Amar Rav, Eitzim Shenashim Min Adeka Lit Tanur B'Yom Tov, Mar Be'eitzim Muchanem Umasikim. What's the case of Rav Masne? Rav Masne says that if wood falls off of a tree and falls into your fire, it's not a problem as long as there's other wood that was there already. It's only a problem if the only fire that you have was not muchan, that it just fell off of a tree. And that's why it's totally fine. Another answer, Rav Hamnuna Amar, no, there's no shivrei kelim here by the case of Rabbi Yehuda, because when Rabbi Yehuda said that then masikim the kelim and masikim shivrei kelim, when Rabbi Yehuda said that shivrei kelim are nolad, that's only true with something that started out larger than gimel al gimel, that had a din of a beged, that had a din of a kli. But here, Rabbi Yehuda was talking about less than that. The Gemara now returns to our Mishnah to analyze again the shita of Rabbi Eliezer and the shita of Rabbi Akiva, and this sugya moves a little rapidly. Needs a little bit of focus to understand a little bit of the nuance. Not terribly difficult, but just needs a little bit of attention. Ba'azda, we're about 8, 9, 10 lines from the bottom of Chav Testament Aleph. Ba'azda, Rabbi Eliezer latame, Rabbi Akiva latame. They each follow their own reasonings. Namely, Rabbi Eliezer in our Mishnah held that Tmei Hibein Madlikin Ba, and Rabbi Akiva held Tahori Hu Madlikin Ba in our Mishnah in regards to the psila that was not singed. So again, Ba'azda, Rabbi Eliezer latame, Rabbi Akiva latame. It's not, the Mishnah writes as follows: you have a garment pachos mishlosha al shlosha. Remember that with the hayati and shlosha is not talking about its bows, it's talking about tfachim. So you have a handkerchief, but it's less than 3 by 3 tfachim. Shehiskinu lepkak bo es hamerchaz. It's a plug. You stick it in the drain. This was how they prevented liquids from draining out. Like they would use it as the cork for barrels. They'd use it to keep their baths filled, whichever the case may be. They'd use it to stir a pot. They'd wrap something around their hand to stir the food, whatever it was. They'd use it to clean off the grind. Now here's some important language. The Tanakama holds, it's Rabbi Eliezer, Bein mina muchan, whether it was prepared for Shabbos, Bein she'ein mina muchan, or even if it wasn't, Tamei divrei Rabbi Eliezer, l'shitaso. Rabbi Eliezer holds that it says the same exact status as it did before. Remember what we said. The fact that you repurposed that little tiny garment in our Mishnah as a wick doesn't remove its status as a kli. That's the same sheet that we see here. This is Rabbi Eliezer l'shitaso. You took the garment and you turned it into a plug for the bath. It's still a garment. Your repurposing doesn't change its status. And that's exactly why he says here, it's still considered tamei tivur Rabbi Eliezer. This middle shita is really not important for us in regards to our Gemara, but important nevertheless. Hagdo Torah lahadira. Rabbi Yeshua Omer, 3 lines from the bottom, Bein mina muchan bein shelo mina muchan tahor. No matter what. The second you repurpose it, this sounds a lot like Rabbi Akiva in our Mishnah. The second you repurpose it, the din is that then it's no longer a beged, no longer a kli. Good, that's his sheet. Rabbi Akiva, has to connect back to our Mishnah because he's in our Mishnah. Let's see what he says. Rabbi Akiva Omer, mina muchan tamei, v'shelo mina muchan tahor. It depends. If it was ready before Shabbos, then it's tamei. Shelo mina muchan, then it is tahor. Okay, now let's understand a little bit more of this 3-way machlokas. The Amar Ula v'itema Rabba bar bar Chana, Amar Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan qualifies the machlokas as following. Hakol modin. Everyone agrees to the following. Zarko ba'ashba divrei kol tahor. Everyone agrees that if you throw the garment into the garbage, everyone agrees divrei kol tahor. You are not machshiv that thing as a kli anymore. If you take a garment, this is halacha l'maisa. Let's say that you take a garment that no longer fits you. You're not going to. Still halachically, it's a garment. You don't like it. Maybe it's a little worn down. You throw it in the garbage. It doesn't have the din of a beged anymore. It doesn't have the din of a beged for whatever shaychus it would have in regards to tumah v'tara. Mirz Hashem B'Karov, that we should find out soon enough before Yontif that we have to bring a korban pesach, and then all these dinim will apply. But right now, if we throw out a garment, it's the haraya that doesn't have a din of a beged anymore, and therefore tahor. So Rabbi Yochanan says, "Divrei kol tahor," turning to the top of Chav Testament Beis. Hinichu b'kufsa. However, if you would take it and put it in your drawer, you take the garment, you fold it up, and you put it in your drawer. What's the din? Divrei kol tamei. Everyone agrees that that's going to be tamei. You're saving the garment. You're push it that it's important to you. Now, what about the middle case? Lo nechleku, where is the three-way machlokas between Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbi Yeshua, and Rabbi Akiva? Lo nechleku ela shetilou b'magod, o shehinicho la'achorei hadelos, where you hang it on a hook, or you hang it behind your door. Rabbi Eliezer savar. Rabbi Eliezer holds as follows: Idelo zarko ba'ashba daita iluya. Unless you're throwing it in, he takes the extreme to one end. Unless you're throwing it in the garbage, it's a beged. Hang it on the hook, hang it on the back of your door. Obviously, if you put it in your drawer. The middle categories that we're talking about here, the garments that you save to use for later, let's say you have a t-shirt. You wear it sparingly. You only wear it when you go outside and it's cold out. It's a thermal shirt, whatever you wear. But you keep it in the drawer. Push it, that's a beged. You keep it on the hook, it's a little bit of a lower status, but it's something that we still wear. A poncho maybe would be a good example of that. You don't really keep it on a hanger necessarily. It's a middle of the road type of garment. All of those, Rabbi Eliezer would say, are tamei. The second it's not in the garbage, it's considered a beged. Okay, let's see. What did he mean in regards to shelo mina muchan? Umay kari le shelo mina muchan delagabe kufsa lav muchani. The only reason why they call the middle category shelo mina muchan is because you didn't put it in your drawer. So, in other words, he says, Bein mina muchan, bein shelo mina muchan tamei. They're all considered a garment. Muchan is in the drawer. Shelo mina muchan, according to him, is not in the drawer, but on the hook, on the wall, or hanging on the back of your door. That's shita number 1. Rabbi Yeshua Savar midelo hinichu b'kufsa betule batle. He said the other way. The only way it's considered a beged is if you put it in your drawer. Everything else is an indicator that you clearly are not machshav the garment. You hung it on a hook on your wall. Come on, that's not a garment. Nobody does that with their clothes. Little did he know we all have shower hooks in our bathrooms, and we all have places to hang things up that are hooks. We keep all of our children's clothing in closets on hooks, whatever it is. Okay, so he was the opposite extreme. So if remember what he said in our mission, he said that everything is going to be tahor. So by him, my karile muchan. What does muchan mean? Muchan. All right, it's ready to be put in the garbage. Everything is. That's what he meant by muchan. Rabbi Akiva, when you hang it on a hook, Samar Rabbi Eliezer. He takes the middle of the road approach, that when you hang it on a hook, he follows Rabbi Eliezer. Hanging on a hook is more chashivus. That's considered to be like Rabbi Eliezer. It's still a beged. But when you hang it behind the door, Savalak Rabbi Yeshua, that's like Rabbi Yeshua took the other extreme, who says that it is not like a beged. And then the Gemara tells us an interesting din. Hadar be Rabbi Akiva lagavad Rabbi Yeshua. In the end, Rabbi Akiva really ended up agreeing with Rabbi Yeshua. So at the end of the day, even though we learned 3 shitas, really there are only 2. How do we know this? Mimai, Omar Rava, last of the short lines on Chav Testamud Beis, Midakatani Psilas HaBeget. What did our Mishnah say? Psilas HaBeget Shekipla. And the Gemara is Medayik. My area, Datani Psilas HaBeget. Listen, Psila Shell Beged. It should have been the wick of a garment. What is Psilas HaBeged? My Psilas HaBeged, the Adain Beged, who the Haraya, the Rabbi Akiva, still holds like the sheet of Rabbi Yeshua, and he was choser from his own shita. Baruch Hashem, we're going to learn the next Mishnah. This Mishnah here is a well-known one. You built a contraption to have oil drip, a bunch of three different models that we'll have in our Mishnah, and then we will wrap up for the evening. Right as we get to the bottom of the Amud, it'll go quickly. Case number 1, you have a little bucket right here, and you have an egg over here. You poked a little hole in the bottom, and you poured oil on the top. The oil just drips out one at a time, and it sustains the flame in the bottom receptacle, and adds in the Gemara, importantly, even if it is made out of pottery. Rabbi Yehuda Matir, he holds that that's totally fine. Aval, if it was made this way, they're attached to each other in one way, shape, or form, then it's mutter mipnei shu kli echad, because it's one kli. Our only concern is that it was separate kelim, but if it's one kli, then it's totally mutter. Final din of the Mishnah: Lo yimale adam ke'ara shel shemen ba'idnena b'tzara nebi yitain rosh hapsila b'socha b'shvil shatei Shabbos. Rabbi Yehuda Matir. What's the case? You cannot fill up a bowl shel shemen ba'idnena b'tzad haner. Put it next to the candle. Yitain rosh hapsila b'socha. Put the end of the wick in the other kli. So you have a kli here. Let's do it this way. This is where my fire is, and I have a kli here filled with oil. So what's happening? The oil here has the end of the wick in it, and it's drooped into here, but the fire is coming out of here, but again, drawing from another kli. That's the third case. All of these are very similar, and that's what the Gemara is bothered by out of the gates. But tzricha, same construct as we saw before. Why do we need all these cases? If we only had the first case where it was dripping in, and that's what was asur, because the way that you made it is not disgusting. It's a normal kli. We'll see that cheres is considered a gross, untouchable type of kli when it's all oily. But because it's not disgusting, we were concerned that you're going to be mistapek mine. But maybe we would have made an error. Aval shel cheres de ma'isa ema module Rabbi Yehuda. Maybe they would have agreed that it would have been mutter, like Rabbi Yehuda says in our Mishnah. So therefore, we needed to have both the cases of cheres and the case of non-cheres. If you would have taught me the case of cheres, Rabbi Yehuda, that it's mutter, maybe we would have said that they would have agreed with the Rabbanan in the other case, Kamashmalan, that that's not the case. We need all of those. If we needed both cases, the first case where the egg is dripping into the kli, and the second case where one of those kalim is made out of cheres, Rabbi Yehuda, that it's mutter mishum de lo mifsak. They're all connected to one another. They're not separate utensils. One drips into the other. They're all semi-connected. Aval ki'ara de nifsaka. But in the last case, where you have right to left, you have one kli that's lit, and then the tail end of the wick is dripping, is drawing from another kli of oil. There, because aval ki'ara de nifsaka imu luhula rabbanan, maybe Rabbi Yehuda would have said that would have been a problem. Nope. Therefore, we had to teach that case as well. And if you only would have had the last case where it was drawing from that second kli, but the fire was in the first kli, you might have thought that the other cases were like Rabbi Yehuda, therefore, and mutter. Therefore, tzricha, we did all 3 cases. In short, none of the 3 cases of our Mishnah could have been taught in isolation. All 3 of them are interdependent, because we easily could have misunderstood what was going on in our Mishnah. Therefore, all 3 cases are relevant. Short, tiny 2-liner. We said in our Mishnah that if it was made this way, then it is mutter. What if it was not made this way, but you made it this way? Meaning, like, you fixed it. It was broken and you fixed it. Is it only if the yotzer, the first time it's made, it's that way? Says the Gemara. Tana, we have a Mishnah. In chibra besidu v'charas is mutter. If you take your own cement, your own material, and you harden it together with 2 other things, and you connect the egg to the dripping thing, to the receptacle at the bottom, that should be mutter. But wait a minute, our thing says yotzer, v'ha'anan yotzer tanan. Answers the Gemara, my yotzer, what does it mean to create? Ke'ein yotzer, doesn't mean so literal. The first time you make it, if you put it together, then you put it together and you're totally fine. Last sugya for the night, a couple of stories to close out with. Tanya, Amar Rabbi Yehuda Pamachas Shabbosnu. It was our Shabbos be'aliyah space Nitze belud. We were in this aliyah space Nitze in the city of Lod. Ve'heviu lanu shifoferes shel beita umil anu hashemen v'nikvenu havinachnu al pi haner. We did the first case of our Mishnah. They took a shfoferes shel beita. They took a shell of an egg and they filled it with oil. They poked a hole on the bottom and then they dripped it in a way on the fire so that the fire would last longer. What happened to Maisa? The Hayasham Rabbi Tarfon is a king. The Rabbi Tarfon was sitting there, and others came. They didn't say anything, implying that it's totally mutter, which is a problem because only the Tanakama holds that. Because Tanakama holds that it's usher, and only Rabbi Yehuda holds that it's mutter. Amrlomi Sham Raya. There's no proof from there. Says the Gemara, a crazy line halfway down. Shiny base niszeh is reason hain. No, the Yidden who are in base niszeh. They were his reason. We were not afraid about them doing something wrong. What does that mean? What does that mean? It's either an Isser Derabanan or it's Mutter. If it's an Isser Derabanan, Rabbi Tarfon is not putter from following Dine Derabanan. So some of them, before Shemir explained, it must be that the Gzeira was not formally in place yet. It was still in the establishment phase. It wasn't yet Muskam Lakol. However they established halachos in those times, it wasn't yet unanimous and across the boards and disseminated, and therefore they were allowed to not follow the halacha. Another story, Avin Sipora, Avin from Tzipor, Gorar Safsila Be'ilisa de Shisha, Le'ela Merib Yitzchak Bar Elazar. So Avin Sipora, this person, he dragged a bench on a marble floor in front of Rabbi Yitzchak Bar Elazar. Harley, he said, so then Rabbi Yitzchak ben Elazar said back to Avin Sipora, if I don't say anything like what happened in front of Rabbi Yehuda in regards to the previous case where he said it was mutter, nafik minei churba, a destruction is going to take place. And he said out loud, Gzeira, alisa de shishatu, alisa de alma. You're not allowed to drag the bench because if you drag the bench on a floor that's a solid floor like marble, we're afraid you're going to do it on another bench. Says the Gemara, another story. Reish Kanishta de Batra, the head of the Kanishta, seemingly the person who ran the show, the head of the community, the Mara de Asra of Batra, the city of Batra. Garar Safsila Le'ela Merab Yirmiyah Abba. He grabbed a bench and he dragged it in front of Rabbi Yirmiyah Amar Le Kiman. Who do you hold like? He says Reb Shimon. What does Reb Shimon hold? Reb Shimon holds that it's Davar Shein Miskaven. Remember, we learned about this previously. Davar Shein Miskaven is where you drag a bench without intention to create a ditch, and there's no psik reshe that you're going to create a ditch. It's not a guarantee that it's going to create a ditch. It's mutter. It's mutter. My son today asked me the following question: one of my tooth is loose. Can I touch it and wiggle it a little bit? I said, is it going to make it bleed? He said, no, I do it all the time. It's not going to make it bleed. I said, is it going to fall out? He said, I've done it 1,000 times. It's not going to fall out. That's a davar she'eino miskaven. What happened? The tooth peeled away from part of the gums. Is that an isser? No, that's davar she'eino miskaven. His intention was not to take the tooth out. It was just to see how loose it was. That's a great example of davar she'eino miskaven. Here too, davar she'eino miskaven. That's what Reb Shimon means. These words are code word for davar she'eino miskaven is mutter. Eimar damar Reb Shimon bigdolim delo efshar b'ktanim Omar. Maybe we would say that Reb Shimon only allowed for davar she'eino miskaven with things that were very large that you couldn't carry. But maybe with something small, he would never have allowed it. Says the Gemara, nope. Upliga de Ula. Ula disagrees. Amar Ula machlokes b'ktanim. He says, no, the machlokes is b'ktanim. About bigdolim, dibri akol mutter. So there's a machlokes how to understand Reb Shimon. Is it that the gdolim are only mutter when necessary, or the gdolim are mutter entirely? Masi Rav Yosef, Reb Shimon or Omer. Reb Shimon says, "Goyer adamita kisei v'safsal ubelvach lo iskaven lasos charitz." As is the din of Reb Shimon that one is allowed to drag a mite, a bed, a bed, a kisei, a chair, v'safsal, a bench, ubelvach lo iskaven lasos charitz, as long as your intention is not to create a ditch. Says the Gemara, Katanik dolim katanik tanin kasha l'tarvayhu. This doesn't work for either sheet of Rav Yirmiyah bar Abba or for Ula. Because one said that you can't carry the small, one said you can't carry the big. Yet what do we see here? That we see that there's Gedolim and Katanim, and both of them are mutter because it quotes a kisei, which is small, and it quotes a mita, which is big. So which one is it? It says the Gemara, Ula mataris l'taimei v'Rav Yirmiyah mataris l'taimei. They each answer their own way. Ula matarza taime mita dumya de kise. It was a small bed, therefore it's no problem. Works with his answer from before. The Rav Yirmiyah matarza taime kisa dumya de mita. He says it was a chair that was a big chair, those huge chairs that sometimes they use for bris milah. If you ever been in your shiur, and the chair they use for bris milah there is 100 pounds. It's huge, 6 feet, 5 feet tall. It's a massive chair. Okay, so each of them can answer this brisa to fit their answer. Last 3 lines for the night. Masi Rabba. Let's say a person is selling wool and linen, and they want to show people what it looks like. So the person wearing it puts on the wool and puts on the linen. Is that shatnez? So the halacha is that if you're doing it just to show people, let's look back in the language of Levachlo, Yiskaven, it's kedarka, Levachlo, Yiskaven, Bechama Mibnei Achama, that I'm wearing it because of the weather during the heat, or Big Shamim, Shamim, to keep me from the rain in the winter. That's mutter. But the people who were tznuin, they would not even put on the garments, even though it was mutter. They would just kind of hold it on some type of shape behind them, maybe on a stick, to show people approximately what it would look like. So it says the Gemara, ask the Gemara about maybe we can do like the tznuin, the chiktanim dami. That's like the small carrying by Reb Shimon that we just saw, and maybe those are similar, which indicates that you should not be allowed to carry the small things. That's what the tznuin were doing. Says the Gemara, and when your intention is otherwise, you should be totally mutter. Says the Gemara, to yufta de Rav Yirmiyah Rabba to yufta. This rejects the shita of Rav Yirmiyah Rabba that we saw above. Rav Yirmiyah Rabba held, let me just pull up this shita here. Rav Yirmiyah Rabba held that biktanim, that it's not allowed to be carried at all, and we see that that is not true from here, where the tznuin were allowed to carry them. And that is where we're going to stop tonight. In Yirtzeh Hashem, we're going to continue tomorrow night at 9 o'clock. As of right now, I've gotten feedback on both sides, 9 and 9:30. I'm okay with it. I have to check with my wife. I presume both are fine. But please do text me on WhatsApp, and so I can see all of the answers and share with you. As well, I wanted to share with you that Zoom, because of what they're calling Zoom bombing, which is that we've been sharing our links so publicly. Hillel Torah, a couple of other schools have had some people who are anti-Semitic, unfortunately, click on these rather public links, and they were spewing the hatred that they are unfortunately feeling in their blood. So we now have to be passworded. I'm going to send you through WhatsApp a passworded link. The link itself is password. It's the one I just sent out. You don't need to put in a password. I will give you a password. If you would like one, just let me know. But that link should work every night. I'm not changing the passcode. So that should work. I'm happy to answer any questions. I know there were a couple of